Before I begin, I'd like to introduce a few folks who are joining us. We have Dan O'Brien here from Supervisor Lusk's office. And then I would also like to introduce our first presenter of the night, Huda Ali from the Virginia Department of Transportation. Huda is the Assistant Transportation and Land Use Director for Southern Fairfax County. Next, I will introduce our other presenter for the night from FCDOT, Zach Desjardins, Transportation Planner 3 with Fairfax County Department of Transportation's Active Transportation section. Huda from VDOT will begin with a presentation on VDOT's repaving program, and afterwards, Zach from FCDOT will present slides on FCDOT's proposed restriping projects as part of the 2025 repaving program. And this will include any crosswalks or bike lanes that FCDOT is proposing to add through the 2025 repaving program. So with that, I will go ahead and turn it over to Huda.
Well, thank you, Hannah. Good evening, everyone. Pulling up the slides now. Do you see the slides?
Yes.
Yes.
They're not in prisoner mode. Oh, there we go.
Okay, great. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I will be presenting the VDOT annual paving program tonight. On tonight's agenda, we will be covering the state lane mile inventory and the lane mile inventory for Northern Virginia District, the planning and construction phases of the repaving schedule. We'll also go over the process for how road gets selected for paving and how the pavement condition is determined using the CCI rating system. We will present information about our dashboard and the pavement condition targets, the various type of pavement treatments, this year's budget, and the different types of pavement markings and striping before we transition to the county's presentation on the topic. As you can see here, Nova District has over 14,000 lane miles. To put that in perspective, it is equivalent to going to the West Coast and back 2.5 times. The actual number is higher as this doesn't include mileage for ramps and many of the recently added roadways. These slides show the breakdown of the lane miles for our district. As you can see, over half of the mileage is in Fairfax County alone. The other half is almost 50-50 split between Loudoun and Prince counties, with only 2% in Arlington County, where VDOT only maintains the primary and interstates, while the county maintains their own secondary streets. The construction aspect of paving is seasonal and takes place during the warmer weather months from spring to early fall. However, the planning process for paving is a year-round activity. The process starts in spring going into the summer with data collection for the next season. Over the summer into the fall, we start analyzing the data, determine how much is needed compared to the available funds, and prepare schedules and coordinate with central office and other stakeholders. Then in winter, we close out previous contracts, put out new contracts for bid, award and execute the new contracts by February, March each year. This is a question we get quite often. VDOT identifies which roads are selected for paving by using a rating system called the Critical Condition Index, CCI, which ranges from 0 for very poor to 100 for excellent condition. The process is generally data-driven and based on several factors. Pavement condition based on CCI ratings, traffic volumes, avoiding locations in conflict with upcoming VDOT and locality projects, avoiding locations where underground utility projects are planned, grouping projects for economies of scale. And what that means is we consider the entire neighborhood when we have a main street within the neighborhood selected for paving to achieve efficiency in contractor mobilization. We also receive feedback from our maintenance crews who are most familiar with the roads in their areas. The planning process starts with collecting the data. We have contractors that drive the roads using high-tech vans, which can automatically analyze the detected pavement condition in terms of distress, texture, or roughness, using GPS, cameras, and scanners to measure things like crack size and distance between cracks and others to determine the pavement condition. The frequency of data collection depends on the type of roadway. Data is collected annually for interstate, primaries, and high-volume secondaries, those with average annual daily traffic higher than 3,500 vehicles per day. For low-volume secondary roads below 3,500 vehicles per day and with a route number of 600 or higher, those makes the majority of the lane mileage and including residential streets. For those, we do 20% every year with the goal to complete the entire mileage inventory every 5 years. Once the pavement condition data is collected and analyzed, it gets translated into a rating on a scale from 0 being worst to 100 being best, like in a new roadway. The rating system we use is called CCI, as mentioned earlier, which stands for Critical Condition Index. We focus on very poor and poor roads with sufficiency ratings below 60 CCI. We do not pave roads with ratings higher than 60 CCI. Pavement condition targets are decided based on the type of road. The 2024 set targets are shown in green in the square at the bottom. For interstate, high volume primaries and high volume secondaries, our goal is to have 80% of the network at 60 CCI rating or above. For low volume primary, we have a target of 75%. And then for low volume secondary roads, we have a target of 60%. This data is also used to inform budget allocation decisions. On this slide, you see a screen capture of the VDOT pavement condition map. In general, there are two main types of treatments: preventive maintenance treatment, where we try to extend the life of pavement by applying slurry seal. We also do limited patching and crack seal. Candidate roads are typically not in poor condition and have CCI rating of 60 or above. In regard to the corrective maintenance, we do mill and overlay 2-inch most commonly and up to 4-inch, depending on the road condition. This treatment is most common and targets roads in poor condition. In rare occasions, we may have to replace the pavement to full depth and rebuild the road. Roads targeted with this type of treatment are typically very old and were built to old standards. Each year, our district receives a set amount of budget dollars. The emphasis for this year are as follows. As you can see from the bottom row highlighted in red, this year's budget is lower than last year. There's also a shift of funds towards primaries and secondaries while still providing a healthy budget towards interstate compared to last year's, which correlates to the 2024 paving conditions. Also note the change in budget and the downward trend in lane miles paved as a result, and the downward trend in cost per lane mile. So what that means is we are not able to pave as much as we did in prior years due to the lower budget. However, due to the lower cost per lane mile, we're able to stretch our dollars further to pave a little more this year. Our VDOT infrastructure and maintenance teams have determined that about 43% of our low volume secondary roads have combined critical condition index in the 30s and 40s, indicating very poor condition, and are due for repaving. At current funding levels, we pave about 6% of the road network each year. Nova District continues to work diligently to catch up on paving roads across Northern Virginia, and until the roads are ultimately repaved, maintenance team will continue to monitor and treat roads for emergencies and safety-related issues such as potholes and needed patching. We wanted to note this online resource that is available to the public where they can access and learn if the road is getting paved this year and track progress as well. This year's paving plan is now available for public access. It shows the route planned for repaving in red, and as the season progresses, you'll see the different colors starting to pop up. This is an interactive map where you can enter your address in the search function to find out if your street is being paved this year. If you click on the colored line on the road, a box will pop up and you will be able to see project details and the direct contact information for the VDOT construction manager, who could be reached out directly for getting more information or answering questions. VDOT restripe most commonly to replace in kind as in put back what was existing before we mill and repave the road. We may occasionally restripe to improve a traffic condition by extending a turn lane, for example, or to enhance safety and operations. We also take the opportunity of repaving to collaborate with the county to implement new marking patterns if existing pavement width allow, to enhance on-road bike routes, and to add new crosswalks where feasible to improve pedestrian safety. This last slide contains some helpful information on how to report a road problem. With that, I end my presentation. Thank you for the opportunity to speak about the state program. And now I'll hand it over to Hannah and Zach. Thank you.
Thank you, Huda. We'll turn it over to Zach for FCDOT's presentation now.
Thanks, Huda. I saw that Iran van not too long ago checking I-66, so it does exist.
Oh, that's cool. I haven't seen one yet.
Yeah. It was. I was like, it looks exactly like you shared. So thanks, everyone. So tonight we're going to talk about some proposed striping modifications. So as Huda mentioned, this part of the paving program is a collaboration between Virginia Department of Transportation and Fairfax County Department of Transportation. We collaborate to improve safety for all users. So what we'll begin is we will begin by reviewing the draft repaving plan, usually in May or April, and we'll look for opportunities for improvements, such as potential crosswalks and potential bike lanes and other things. VDOT will then develop the actual plans to stripe what we requested, and we'll coordinate implementation with the contractors. That very hard job of making sure the contractors pave on time and do a great job. Then we'll lead the public engagement. That's why we're here tonight, and we'll coordinate with our supervisors. VDOT also upgrades curb ramps throughout the process, and then after the paving is complete, Fairfax County will install the signage showing where we have new bike lanes and new crosswalks. So many roads in Fairfax County are built up quite a bit wider than needed or have too many lanes, leading to safety issues such as speeding and inattentive driving. Repaving provides an opportunity to right-size those streets and provide new bike lanes and turn lanes that improve safety for all users at very little incremental cost compared to what putting it back exactly as it used to be. We always maintain traffic capacity at traffic signals, and as I mentioned, it aids in building out our planned bicycle network. So a great example here in Franconia district, if you've been over to Fleet Drive, that runs between Beulah Street and Franconia Road. It used to be quite a large road with very wide lanes. And the last time VDOT repaved the road, we worked together to implement buffered bike lanes. We added a center turn lane and right turn lanes to reduce the speeding. So we have a couple different bicycle facilities in Fairfax County. The first one is shared lane markings. We don't usually use those very often. We primarily try to paint standard bike lanes as well as buffered bike lanes. Standard bike lanes don't have a buffer space between traffic, whereas buffered bike lanes do. We try to, there's a couple different types of bicycle riders that you see throughout the county. There's some folks who are strong and fearless, will ride on any road. And then we also have folks who are enthused and confident. So that's primarily who we're targeting. And as we build out buffered bike lanes, we're trying to attract more folks who are interested but concerned about safety. So there are benefits to bicycle infrastructure beyond just benefiting people from biking who are biking. So for example, if you're trying to cross the street, having that narrow travel lane width, so where the cars are, it essentially reduces the crossing distance. It adds a buffer between you and traffic if you're walking on the sidewalk. So it makes it a little more comfortable and safe to walk. It reduces noise throughout your neighborhood because we're able to reduce speeding. Faster vehicles create more noise. And that also improves visibility, especially if you're trying to exit a driveway or a side street, because we push that traffic away from the edges of the road and closer to the center where it belongs. So we have a couple proposed bike lanes in Franconia district. So the first one here is on Bedrock Road. It runs between Green Spring Lane and Harrison Lane. If you've been out there lately, you'll notice there's an existing bike lane in the westbound or in the eastbound direction that we put in 2017, and we'd like to keep that in place. And then also we're proposing to add a bike lane in the westbound direction, which is in line with our countywide master bicycle plan. To do this, it would require removing some street parking on one side of the street. So we'd remove approximately 83 spaces, and the parking bay on the eastbound side would remain with about the same number of spaces. And so in our survey, you'll be able to select one of two options. The first is making no changes, and the second is moving the parking lane for bike lanes in both directions, with one parking lane retained. The second street that we proposed for bike lanes is this little segment of Rolling Stone Way. It connects Bedrock Road to another street that we're about to talk about. And so right now we have just sharrows, so people biking have to share the road. We observe that the street parking isn't that well used, and so we're proposing removing either one or both parking lanes to provide bike lanes in this just one block segment to kind of connect between Bedrock and Vantage Drive. So in the survey, you'd be able to rank by your preference. So you can just remove the uphill parking lane so that the people biking can go uphill and not have to share the road. There's of course make no changes, and then you'll have an option of removing parking in both directions to add the bike lanes. Lastly, we have Vantage Drive that runs between South Kings Highway and Rolling Stone Way. And just like with Bedrock Road, we added a northbound climbing lane going uphill in 2017. And we're proposing to add a bike lane in the opposite direction, that southbound direction. Even though our countywide master plan recommends sharrows, so encouraging people biking to share the road, we felt that the volumes are a little bit too high for that. The master plan was adopted about 11 years ago, and the guidance has changed a little bit. And so there's space available to bike lanes in both directions, contingent on removing about 55 on-street parking spaces on the southbound side of Vantage Road. The northbound parking bay will remain, combined with the other two streets that I just mentioned, so Rolling Stone Way and Bedrock Road. It will provide a 1.2 mile route that connects to Lockheed Boulevard, where we implemented bike lanes during the last repaving cycle on that street, as well as a future two-way protected bike lanes that we have planned on both sides of Richmond Highway. That'll run from almost to the Huntington Metro, quite a bit further south in the county, down to Fort Belvoir. That's going to be built in a couple of years as part of the bus transit project. And then there'll be just 2 survey questions asking to select one of these options. So one option is to remove the 1 parking lane for bike lanes in both directions. 1 parking lane would remain. Approximately 55 spaces would be repurposed for the bike lane. And of course, there's an option for no changes. Moving a little bit closer to the Franconia Springfield Metro Station, VDOT has proposed to repave Kingstowne Commons Drive from Park Village Drive to Beulah Street. We're proposing to add bike lanes on both sides of Kingstowne Common Drive, which is in line with the countywide master plan. Because Kingstowne Commons Drive is actually quite a bit narrower than Bedrock and Vantage, we'd have to remove street parking on both sides to add bike lanes in both directions. Cognizant that that would be a more significant impact than just removing parking on one side of the street, we did a parking survey, or excuse me, a parking study. You can see the results outlined here in green. And so if the green utilization, so anywhere you see green, is 0 to 11% of the spaces we found were used. The spaces in yellow were a little bit more used, running between 16 and 23%. And then we had 2 spaces in kind of this red-orange color from 40 to 67% utilization. We also proposed a crosswalk near Hollyford Lane, which is right about here. So the survey questions, you'd be able to rank your preferences. And so the first option is make no changes. Then another option is add bike lanes along the full length, repurposing approximately 177 parking spaces. The next option is add bike lanes on most of the street, except for southbound between Donegal Square and Park Village Drive, this space in red. We observed that approximately 34 spaces were used at the highest along the whole street, and most of them were kind of congregated here. And so we would drop the bike lane right here, and so cyclists would share the road going to that southbound direction. And then we also have an option where we'd retain even more parking spaces, starting here from Hollyford Lane all the way down to Park Village Drive. So that'd be approximately 60 spaces retained, and the rest would be buffered bike lane or regular bike lane. In terms of crosswalk enhancements, we look for locations without crosswalk markings to determine whether it meets VDOT's warrants and criteria to mark that crosswalk and whether parking restrictions are needed, to make sure that you can see people in the crosswalk and they can see you. And then VDOT also upgrades existing crosswalks from standard high visibility at mid-block locations. So if there's a crosswalk that just has two lines, that will be upgraded to high visibility. That looks like these piano keys on the right. So we only proposed 1 crosswalk on Kingstowne Common Drive, and it's at this trail crossing. It connects these 2 segments of about a mile-long path, and there's also a spur to Lane Elementary School. There are some parking lanes necessary, and this one's still subject to VDOT's final approval. And so you can see just an aerial view here. The parking restriction would be approximately 5 spaces on the west side of the crosswalk and about 5 spaces on the east, for a total of 10. We'll still have a survey question to ask folks what they think, just in case that if people don't want to remove parking for bike lanes, maybe they want to remove parking for this crosswalk. Again, as Huda mentioned, if you have paving related issues, please go to my VDOT that portal, and you can request repairs to do anything from drainage, missing signage, signal repair, walkway repair, and site distance issues. As the spring arrives here, our vegetation is growing and certainly causing issues. And then we also have our project webpage. And so we're going to start taking questions from we'll take your feedback via this public input link. You can also take that survey via phone by calling that number and leaving a voicemail, or you can also send me a letter to the address listed here. Well, we're now going to move to the Ask a Questions feature. So to ask a question, please use the reactions. Click on reactions and then click Raise Your Hand feature at the top of your team screen. If you're calling in via telephone, please press *5 to raise your hand and press *6 to unmute and speak. And
All
we
right.
will begin
Thank you,
taking your
Zach.
questions.
Yes, we will start with Sophia. Let me just allow your microphone. All right, you should be able to unmute yourself now.
Yep. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to ask I guess a clarifying question about the section you were talking about on Bedrock Road. If you could maybe go back to that slide. It wasn't clear to me, are you going to be making any changes to the barrier that's currently between the Woodstone neighborhood and Vantage neighborhood? I thought there was a bullet point somewhere that said something about connecting Vantage Lockheed, and I thought the only way that you could do that is by removing that barrier, which we spent a lot of time and effort to put it there because people used to shortcut through the neighborhood between two main roads.
Thank you very much, Sophia, for that question. That's a really good question. No, the barrier is not going away. It will remain in place. The reason I said it would connect those streets, it would connect if you're riding a bicycle. So you can go around the barrier on the sidewalk via your bicycle. Of course, we won't want vehicles doing that. So that part it'll essentially pave right to the barrier and will stop. Thank you for your question.
Okay, thanks for clarifying.
Thank you. And we will move to Brendan next. I've just allowed your microphone, so you should be able to unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I'm also a resident of Woodstone along Bedrock. I actually live on Bedrock Road. And my main question is about the traffic calming measures for Bedrock. So this is about to become a problem as it is every year for the past, I don't know, 6 or 7 years we've lived here. But when the weather starts to get warmer, Bedrock is a very smoothly curved, almost straight road. And at night, people like to use it as a drag strip. And we've contacted Fairfax County many times, and they just don't seem to take us seriously. My question regarding the traffic calming is, would you consider putting in like speed humps or some kind of physical deterrent? I mean, people speed along the road regardless, way above 25 miles an hour, but the drag racing is particularly dangerous.
Thank you for the question. I'm quite sorry to hear that. So with the VDOT repaving program, they only put back speed humps that are that were already in place. There is a separate separate program for traffic calming. Through a different part of Fairfax County Department of Transportation, and they look to see whether your street will qualify, and if it does, it requires you all to go out and collect signatures and get kind of neighborhood support. And there's certain parameters that the VDOT has for whether a street qualifies for speed humps or not. I don't have those. I can't answer that tonight, but if you shoot us an email to DOT bicycle programs at fairfaxcounty.gov, I certainly can find that out for you.
Okay. Is that email address going to be? Is that in the presentation somewhere?
No, but I can add it real quick.
Okay.
And the name of the program that Zach is referring to is called the RTAP program, RTAP. If you just look up FCDOT RTAP program, you should very easily be able to find all of the information on that program.
I think I found it. Thank you.
Okay, great.
right, thank you, Brendan. We will go ahead and move on to Steve. All
Steve,
right,
share
you
thing?
should have microphone access now. Yes, we can hear you. Oh, I can't hear you anymore, but
Sorry, can you hear me?
yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So I'm, I guess most concerned with Kingstowne Commons. I'm an employee of the Kingstowne Association. The first question I had, the traffic study or the parking study that you conducted, do you know what day of the week and approximately what time that was conducted?
Yes, we can actually share that. We'll post the study to the webpage. It was conducted multiple times during the day. So we wanted to get morning, afternoon, evening, so that we could get an accurate picture of what was happening.
Yeah.
Overnight,
I
I
would
think, was
say-
the most used, though, and that's what
Yeah.
we've overnight was the most used, and that's where I got that 34 spaces being used.
And then I think it's just worth noting, and I don't know if you considered this, this road already has a sidewalk on one side and an asphalt multi-use path on the other. So I don't know, to me personally, it seems a bit extreme to remove the majority of the parking for the bike lanes, but you know, I'll look at what the county's considering. And then the last thing I just wanted to point out, you may know this, you may not know this, we're going through the traffic calming process right now with Fairfax County DOT. So this road more than likely is going to have 3 speed tables installed probably sometime in the next year. I don't know if that's factored into what you're looking at, but we're working through that with Aaron Campbell and people from Fairfax County DOT now. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yes, thank you. Yes, we were aware of that. One of the benefits to having bike lanes is striping the lanes a little bit narrower than they are now. For the spaces with parking, the lanes are obviously narrower, but with the spaces without, they're quite wide. And so one of the reasons that we propose this is knowing that you all are interested in traffic calming is to try to provide that as well to complement the speed tables. So
Sure. All right. Well, thank you for hosting this meeting, and I'll be passing all this along to our homeowners. So thank you.
Thank you.
yeah, thank you for taking the time.
All right, we'll go to Ben next. I've just allowed your microphone, so you should be able to unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm an avid bicyclist, so I'm very excited to hear that you're going to add more lanes through my neighborhood, particularly the Bedrock and the Vantage stretches. I bike probably close to every day. What I'm curious about is why you chose to put bike lanes, a few years ago, a bike lane on Vantage in the uphill direction, and they're considering adding a second one. This time when Vantage kind of dead ends into the north side onto South Kings, where there isn't anything to go to there. You dead end into a busy street where it's kind of really unpleasant for a cyclist. Whenever I'm heading kind of in that direction to the west of my house, and I always, if you look at a map, I go west on Bedrock and then left on Rolling Stone, which is another one of the short segments you plan on. And then I turn right on Vantage, but instead of taking it all the way to South Kings, I turn left on Flintstone and then exit the neighborhood on Lantern. And that kind of takes you in the direction of the Kingstowne shopping center, as well as the Wegmans up on Hilltop, as well as Van Dorn to cross the Beltway into more northerly directions. And so I guess I'm kind of curious about how the decision-making process as to which roads to consider putting bike lanes in, because to me, Lantern would make a lot more sense than Vantage. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Unfortunately, Lander is not on the paving list. Otherwise, that potentially would be a good street for that. I haven't looked at it particularly, but so the reason for Vantage was because that was the street that was going to be repaved. And yes, you're correct that at the moment there's not a great facility along South Kings Highway. Hopefully in the future, I believe that our master plan calls for some kind of either a side path or bike lanes on that street. That we could eventually connect this to. And then in the interim, folks who live on Vantage could use it in both directions instead of just having it in one direction. So that was the reason for why we ended up where we ended up.
Can I just ask a follow-up question then? Because I'm a little bit
Absolutely,
confused.
yes.
I'm the first speaker, Huda, I think her name was, had a link to the paving status map. And this entire neighborhood is red as scheduled to be paved, including the Lantern and Flintstone. So, but yet you say it's not going to be paved?
So when we got the list so there was a draft repaving list that was given to us in April of last year. The only streets that I believe the only streets that we saw on the list were Vantage and Bedrock. And so as a result, VDOT set those aside in their process, and added a little extra funding so that they would be able to potentially have bike lanes in both directions. I don't believe those two streets were on the list when I looked at it back in April. And that was why we didn't put it on there. And it's also possible they might not be on the countywide bicycle master plan either. So we try to only add bike lanes to streets where the Board of Supervisors previously approved or previously encouraged bike lanes to be added. But yeah, thank you for the question. And Huda, if you want to jump in and if you have anything to add, feel free.
I appreciate it.
I haven't looked at the paving list in depth, so.
Thank you.
I don't have additional. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, next we'll go to the caller on the phone. I've just allowed your microphone, so you'll just need to press *6 to unmute.
And that caller, your number ends in what, Hannah?
It's not showing up for me.
Oh, is it the one that ends in 8878?
I believe so. You should be able to. Oh, I can hear you.
Yep, we can hear you.
Calling in, can you tell me the website I can go to see all the information you've presented, specific to the streets that you've talked about?
Absolutely. It's www.fairfaxcounty.gov/2025-paving-and-restriping-program. It'll be a list of a bunch of the streets that in all the districts, including Franconia district. And this presentation will be posted there along with the video tomorrow.
And could you go over that one more time? Thanks.
Absolutely, yes. It's www.fairfaxcounty.gov/2025-paving-restriping-program.
Thanks a lot.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Next we'll go to Lauren. I've just allowed your microphone, so you should be able to unmute yourself. Not hearing anything if you're trying to speak.
I would just say if anyone has technical difficulties or if you have a question later, you can send us an email at dotbicycleprograms@fairfaxcounty.gov. We also have the last box in the survey for any feedback you'd like to provide. If you'd like to provide an email or a phone number, and if you have a question there, you're welcome to do that as well.
And again, you'll just need to hit unmute at the top of your screen once I enable your microphone. In the meantime, do we have any additional questions? If not, we'll go ahead and wrap up. Lauren, I've kept your microphone enabled. So, we have one more
question, actually.
Okay. Yep. PB. I've just allowed your microphone, so you should be able to unmute.
Hello?
Yes.
Hi, we can hear you.
Yeah, I just had a question more about the signage in the neighborhood. It appears it seems like people are really speeding off of South Kings and they do not notice that it is a not a through street and not access to US 1. They're still coming down and they wind up at the Rolling Stone Bedrock intersection in the Vantage neighborhood. And they just, I don't know if they can see the sign or not, but we still have people doing that. Is there any way
Is
to
there? Yeah.
any way
I'm sorry.
to
Go ahead.
any way to make the signs a little more noticeable that it's not a through street? Because I'm wondering if we do have a lot more traffic going down Vantage because of all the traffic on South Kings, and they're desperate to make a workaround.
Yeah. So if you have existing signage, you can certainly go to the. So VDOT would maintain that signage. You can go to the My VDOT portal and request additional signage, or if it, if trees have grown over it or something like that, or leaves are blocking it, you're welcome to do that and see if VDOT would be able to add some more signs to make it more clear to folks that there's a barrier that your neighborhood fought very hard to get, and
Yes,
you can't
we
get
did.
from here to there. So
Yes, we did.
yeah.
It just seems a little bit I don't know, busier. Once we put the lines in, I don't know if it was people and bike lanes, if people thought, oh, it must be a through street or something, because I walk every day and people really are flying down Vantage.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I mean, the paving can't really address that, other than to add new signage for, say, if we had a bike lane in one direction, or we add, new crosswalks. But again, I would definitely try the MyVDOT webpage and see if their staff would be able to help you out.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Lauren, do you want to try unmuting one more time to see if it works before we wrap up?
you want to make her presenter.
Okay.
See if that would help.
Yeah, that works.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I don't know why it stayed grayed out. Anyway, just wanted to I was out today and noticed that Cold Spring Lane was being crack sealed today. And I just wanted to find out, since I was looking at the map, it looks like basically all the public roads in Woodstone, Vantage, Stony Brook, and Virginia Hills are going to be done. Are these going to be just crack sealed, like minimal work, or will they be slurry sealed as well?
Who did you have an answer to that one?
I am not sure about the neighborhood. If you give me the name, I can check on the website to see what's the plan for that. But it's typically slurry seal treatment, not just crack.
Are you looking for the name of the neighborhood or the street?
A street is fine.
Okay, Cold Spring Court. Sorry, Lane.
Lane. Yeah, it is slurry seal treatment.
Okay, will that be true of all those adjacent streets then to Bedrock as well?
I mean, it could be true, but I'm gonna have to check every street just to make sure. I couldn't tell you if it's the whole neighborhood, but so far I clicked on a few, And they
Okay.
seem to all receiving the same treatment for slurry seal.
Is there a way that I can tell that on the map of the, because
Yeah,
I'm on the page with the repaving. I'm looking
okay.
at that.
So if you just click with your mouse on the line above the roadway, then a box will pop up.
Okay, got it.
Do you see it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically the schedule will have the SS9A25. SS typically refers to slurry seal. If it's PM, then it's a plant mix, which means hot asphalt.
Okay. Got it. I see that.
Okay.
All right. That's good information. Thank you.
Of
And
course.
I was interested in the traffic calming as well as Brendan. But I am glad to see that they're planning to do that the plan is to do the parking on the, if it's done, on the eastbound side of Bedrock, because there is some visibility issue along Bedrock, particularly closest to Harrison. There's a good number of people that park on Bedrock, and they block visibility for Fairfield, Westfield, and some of those streets, adjacent streets that are nearest to Harrison. And they aren't really monitored well by Fairfax County Police when they park over the lines. So that'd be great if that's just parking on that eastbound side.
Yeah, thank you for your feedback and your questions, Lauren. Next, we will go ahead and move to Benjamin. I've just
Yes,
allowed your
hi.
microphone, so we can hear you now.
Okay, you can hear me great. Yeah, I just want to say thanks so much for the presentation and yeah, dovetailing on what was just said about the intersection between where Bedrock comes out and Harrison. I just took your survey and so I see this is not part of what you're considering, but just it might be good to have a crosswalk there as well, as that's kind of a turning into a more of a busy intersection. There's that sharp 90-degree turn near Huntley Meadows Park, and people are coming down off the hill there. And I know the public school bus stops there as well as the city bus. And it would just, I think a crosswalk there would be pretty logical as well and might help to slow that traffic down a little bit. And I do cycle out there, and I usually take a right turn there. So yeah, that's just a suggestion I might have for, whenever you consider that area. I think a crosswalk makes good sense too.
Thank you. Yeah, are you meaning crossing Bedrock or crossing Harrison?
It would be, yeah, crossing Harrison, because
yeah, so
oftentimes I'll walk to the end of the neighborhood and then I need to cross that busy road to wait for the bus on the other side.
yeah, thank you for that. So Harrison isn't being paved, and we did look at trying to put a crosswalk across Bedrock at Harrison, but the paving stops just short of that, so we weren't able to do it this cycle. There may be a county project to add a crosswalk across Harrison for the reasons you outlined. I haven't looked at it in a while, so but I do vaguely remember that we may have a project there to add a crosswalk outside of the paving program.
Okay, well, yeah, thanks. I'll look forward to it.
Yeah, thank you for your feedback.
All right. Not seeing any additional hands up, so I think we will go ahead and wrap up for the evening. Thank you everyone for joining and for your participation. And just as a reminder, feedback can be submitted until the 24th, I believe. We have it on the last slotted, April 24th.
Yep.
Okay, great. Yep, April 24th. And you can do that through the following channels. You can submit a survey at publicinput.com/G03671. You can also leave us recorded comments by phone at 703-890-5898 using the project code 11372. Or you can submit comments via mail to Zach at attention Zachary Desjardins, 4050 Legato Road, Suite 400, Fairfax, Virginia 22033. And if anyone thinks of any additional questions later on, you are welcome to send us an email at dotbicycleprograms@fairfaxcounty.gov. And again, for more information on the repaving program, you can visit www.fairfaxcounty.gov/transportation/2025-paving-and-restriping-program. And again, these slides and a recording of this meeting will be posted on our website within the next day or so. Thank you again for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your evening.